If you crack first, Dave, it won't make you any less of a man.
I'm nowhere near cracking.
Neither am I, my friend.
Dave. And Matthew, what is it now? For God's sake, no one's smoking, okay?
But nothing!
You know what we need around here is an anti-whining ordinance.
So just sip your sniveling little lip and haul your skinny ass out of here!
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. We've got some breaking news at Marvel Comics. Nick Spencer's run as the Amazing Spider-Man writer will be running out in September of 2021 in the not-too-distant future. It should be wrapping up at Amazing Spider-Man 74. I would say that Nick Spencer's run on Amazing Spider-Man has been quite successful. If you remember, this is coming off of his very controversial Secret Empire story arc where we had the Hail Hydra Cap kind of the reveal that was not well received. Also, if you remember when Nick Spencer was being interviewed, he talked about how the Cosmic Cube would not come into play, would not be the MacGuffin or the Deus Ex Machina that would end up fixing everything. Turns out that was exactly what it was. His reputation was at an all-time low as far as comic book writing. He got the Spider-Man gig. I think a lot of people were trepidatious when that happened. But for the most part, I think he's knocked it out of the park. He's had a very successful run on Amazing Spider-Man. If you also remember at that time, he was very belligerent with fans through his social media. We haven't seen that either for quite a few years. So it feels like Spencer has done a good job rehabbing his reputation and certainly is leaving Marvel Comics on a very high note. Now, we have noticed that it seemed like Amazing Spider-Man, as far as their release schedule, had really ramped up. It was like they were sprinting towards something. It felt like they were trying to get to issue 100. And likely the big conclusion of the Kindred story arc that he introduced very early, if it wasn't in issue number 1 of his Amazing Spider-Man run. Likely, now that we're looking at it, probably has something to do with this deal with Substack. If you don't know what Substack is, it's like it's a newsletter for writers to where you can charge a subscription fee for people to read short stories or your novel or whatever online through Substack. They're getting into the comic book game, and Nick Spencer is their big name get so far. I imagine he has like an exclusive deal with Substack that's paying him quite well to be kind of the face of their comic book platform that they're rolling out. So right now we are in the middle of, I believe it's Chameleon Conspiracy. We've also had... Pretty recently, we had Hunted. After that, we had Last Remains. He has been extremely busy. We do know that they took on an extra writer. I believe it was Ed Brisson was announced to be the co-writer for Spider-Man moving forward. I imagine he's on here just to kind of help him get wrapped up and finished and get all the issues out on time. There is a delay that I'm going to talk about here in a second to his upcoming Sinister War, which I imagine is essentially like the big conclusion to his run. Although Amazing Spider-Man 74 is going to be an 80-page spectacular. They're calling it a milestone because it's issue 875. I guess because it ends in a 5, it's a milestone. But I'll be shocked if we don't finally get the conclusion to whatever he's going to do with One More Day. Is that the most hated story arc in comic book history? I think it probably is. Certainly the most hated Spider-Man story arc. And we've got some doozies out there with Spider-Man as well, so it's something that probably should have been addressed by now. It feels like Nick Spencer and crew have been dancing around addressing it, especially with the Kindred stuff. It didn't feel like there was really a conclusion to Last Remains. I imagine Amazing Spider-Man 74, this 80-page issue, is going to finally kind of wrap that stuff up. We're also going to see, I believe it's, who are the artists on this one? It's in here. We're going to be seeing Patrick Gleason, Mark Bagley, and Marcelo Ferreira, and a few more contributing to that. So we're going to have some of the good writers. This is what Marvel announced regarding the issue. Nick Spencer will close out his epic run on Amazing Spider-Man this September. Since taking over the title, the acclaimed writer has crafted a Spider-Man saga for the ages, taking not only Peter Parker, but his beloved sporting cast and iconic rogues gallery on radical new journeys. With numerous memorable storylines under his belt, Spencer will end his redefining work on the Spider-Man mythos in Amazing Spider-Man 74, the milestone 875th issue of the title. Amazing Spider-Man 74 will be an incredible 80-page blockbuster issue, complete with artwork with some of the artists that have contributed to his landmark run: Patrick Gleason, Mark Bagley, and Marcelo Ferreira, and more. The culmination of over 3 years worth of thrilling storylines. This climactic finale will will be full of surprising developments that will launch Peter Parker into the next high-flying era. And this is what Marvel editor Nick Lowe, who has worked closely with Nick Spencer during his Amazing Spider-Man run, had to say. The last 3 years of Amazing Spider-Man have been Nick Spencer's love letter to his favorite character and comic. He may be the biggest Spidey fan ever, as evidenced from the fact that he read every Spider-Man comic in preparation for his landmark run. From number 1 all the way through number 74, Nick, along with Ryan Ottley, Humberto Ramos, Patrick Gleason, Mark Bagley, and more, has gone huge with more villains, more supporting characters, and more punishment for Peter Parker. From Hunted to Sins Rising to Last Remains to King's Ransom to Sinister War, and now the ultra-sized finale, What Cost Victory, Nick will bring his web-slinging roller coaster ride back into the station in a way you'll never forget. So there you go. That is going to be coming out September 22nd. Should be a big deal. And I do give kudos to Nick Spencer for hearing the feedback from his Secret Empire run. Was not well received. He got the Spider-Man gig. A lot of people probably, including myself, did not think he had earned that with the way that he had dropped the ball so epically in Secret Empire and did what he did to Captain America. He listened to the naysayers. He took the opportunity, and as far as I'm concerned, he did a great job with it. Will he be able to wrap up Kindred and the things that he's kind of started as far as addressing One More Day? We shall see. If he doesn't, I guess that would be disappointing. But when you look at the breadth of work, it has been very successful. And, it was our first work seeing Ryan Ottley really on a main Big Two character. I think he did a really good job. Little disappointed we haven't got to see Patrick Gleason more, but that is neither here nor there. This is the end of a chapter as far as Amazing Spider-Man. We do know that Ed Brisson has come in to help write, to finish out this run. I do not believe Ed Brisson will be getting the Amazing Spider-Man gig. This is probably one of the 3 or 4 most prestigious writing gigs in all of comics. So I would say he's probably not in consideration. Unfortunately, he's probably not a big enough name. And that I like Ed Brisson. I kind of wish it was him, but we shall see who the next writer is going to be. I imagine it'll be somebody that will get people very excited, and hopefully it will be a new day, a new dawn for Amazing Spider-Man for them to work with. So as far as what's going to be late, some things have been pushed back. Sinister War was supposed to wrap up within August, but they have changed the schedule a little bit. Sinister War number 1, still coming out 14 July. Amazing Spider-Man 71 is going to skip a week and is now coming out on the 20th of July rather than the 21st. And then Sinister War 2 skips from 28 July till 4 August. Sinister War 3 skips from 4 August to 18 August, so there's 2 weeks. Amazing Spider-Man 2 skips from 17 August to 25 August. Sinister War number 4 is going to jump from 18 August to 1st of September, so 3 weeks. And then Amazing Spider-Man 73, rather than coming out on the scheduled 25 August date, is going to come out on 8 September, obviously leading up to the conclusion of Amazing Spider-Man 74. Sinister War ought to be fun, and this will essentially be his last hurrah until his final issue. If you're an Amazing Spider-Man fan, that is the breaking news. Nick Spencer is off the title at the end of September, and we will be getting a new Spider-Man team. Don't know that it's rebooting back to issue 1. We don't know who the new creative team is going to be. This being Marvel Comics, I'll be shocked if it doesn't reboot back to a number 1. Venom's rebooting back to a number 1, even though the sales were continuously strong through Donny Cates' run. Immortal Hulk is rebooting back to a number 1 and is just being called Hulk now that Donny Cates is taking over after very good sales with Al Ewing. So I imagine Amazing Spider-Man will also be rebooted back to a number 1. That's pretty much what they've been doing for a long time. We don't normally get a lot of 74-issue runs out of Marvel Comics, so this has to be commended. I thought he would probably be culminating his big story in number 100. It felt like they were kind of dragging along the One More Day Kindred stuff out to that issue 100 milestone, but it will be issue number 74. And if you're a fan of Nick Spencer, it sounds like you're going to need to go to Substack if you want new comic book creations from Nick Spencer as far as writing. Not sure who he's going to be collaborating with there. I imagine it's going to be all new creator-owned original IP that he's going to be doing there, and he shall be leading the charge as far as Substack's venture into comic book publishing. Thank you all very much. Let me know what you think. Are you disappointed Nick Spencer's run on Amazing Spider-Man has ended. Is this the right time for it to end? Are you going to be following over to Substack? Has Nick Spencer won you back? And who would you like to see on Amazing Spider-Man to follow up Nick Spencer's very strong run? So let me know that in the comments section, and I will see y'all later. I'm going to be talking to Perch here in a few hours about piracy and comics within the comic book industry. There's been a lot of talk about that lately, so we're going to have a chat about that later, and I will see y'all around. Thank you.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.